Hello, everyone, and welcome to Devils United. This is the Devils United debate. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Devils United. Today, I'm going to be doing the first debate show, and it is going to be: is Bruno Fernandes out of form this season? With me today, I've got a great panel. I've got Haneef, I've got Brush, and I've got Reece. How are we all?
I'm alright, thank you.
Not too bad, thank you.
Yeah, big up everyone. Big up. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you all for coming on. Just before I do continue, I'll go through a couple of the comments. Hello to Connor. Thank you for tuning in. And no De Bruyne talk today in this chat. Hello to my dad. Thank you for tuning in. Hello to Jamie. And hello to Ginge. Thank you for all of you for tuning in. So we will start with Bruno Fernandes. Is he really out of form this season? People have been discussing this. And I'll go with you first, Haneef, because I know you're more of this neutral point of view. What are you thinking about Bruno Fernandes this season? Do you think he is out of form?
No, I don't think he's out of form. I think the expectation on Bruno is very high because of what he achieved in his first season at Manchester United. You could argue he carried the team last year. And as a result of the expectation this year, I think there's to a certain degree there's been unfair criticism aimed towards Bruno. To get the best out of Bruno, you have to play him, in my opinion, as the central attacking midfielder who is allowed to express himself. And as a result of Ollie's mismanagement and the new manager coming in, he couldn't settle in that 4-2-2 system. So, but you've seen how you get the best out of Bruno. In terms of, if you look at statistics, his stats are really good, in my opinion. 7 goals, 5 assists, I believe, in the Premier League. He was your man of the match against Aston Villa, or he was one of the best players in that game. So I think as long as Bruno's played in that particular role, you'll get the best out of him. If you change formation, and if Ralf Rangnick was to get the job at Manchester United, then Bruno might have a bit of a hard time because Ralf Rangnick needs a lot of running, a lot of pressing from his players, and he does do that. He does offer that, but I think it all depends on what the future of Manchester United's manager will be. But at this moment in time, Bruno's back.
Mm-hmm. In terms of Bruno, because you did touch on the formation, would you say that maybe the 4-2-3-1 is the best for him, the 4-3-3, 4-4-2? What would be Bruno's ideal formation?
I think you have, as long as he's behind that striker, it doesn't matter what you play. You have to give him the opportunity to express himself, and it seems as if he expresses himself in a 4-2-3-1. You could do it in a 4-4-2, a 4-4-1-1 or whatever you want to call it. However, if you play him in any other way, like if you look at him in Portugal, where I think they play a 4-3-3, you don't get the best out of him. Now, if you want to get the best out of Bruno, you have to play him to his strengths, and to play him to his strengths, I think Ralf Rangnick's identified that, you know what, I can't coach my formation into these players because I don't have the time. So let's stick with what I know best. Let's stick with what they know best. And then in the dying moments of the West Ham game, he kind of went for his form. He kind of went for the game. He's like, right, let's go for the win. And you have to admire Ralph for that. And but I do believe Bruno will be strong in that 4-2-3-1. And if you're not going to play that formation, I think you need to play with legs, because when Bruno doesn't play well, he doesn't really offer a lot to the team. So 4-2-3-1, you have to stick with it because he's one of your best players if you look at the stats, and he's a stats guy.
What about you, Reece, in terms of Bruno Fernandes this season? Do you think he's been out of form, or do you just feel like maybe he could be just a little bit fatigued?
I think you would have to say at the start of the season, you would say he was out of form, but purely as Haneef has rightfully justified, just expectation and performance, obviously the dip from the Euros as well, not having a sufficient break playing football. But even when he's been in so-called out of form or poor form, he's still creating chances regardless of the position he plays in. He's still creating opportunities for the team to score. It's just their inability to actually put the ball in the back of the net. But for me, I don't necessarily think he's been out of form. I just think he's purely just fatigue. I think he's still had a better season in terms of chances created than any attacking midfielder or player in position in the league. So for such an out of form player, he's still miles ahead of anybody in his position for that expectation.
Yeah, 100%. You did touch on that chances created as well. He's second in the Premier League. Only Trent Alexander-Arnold is ahead of him. And in terms of the Champions League, he's created the most chances in the Champions League so far as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and says all really. Like, for somebody who's not so much a good player, as people like to call him out on that when he clearly is. It's just I think it's just the social media bollocks these days, where anybody, like, if a player doesn't have a great game, like every single game, it's got to be immediately called out. Like, there's no rest period. There's no opportunity for players to get an opportunity these days, or a chance. It's literally just straight at them for the beginning. Like, if you don't turn up, you're automatically branded a flop. Or you had a great season, you scored X amount of goals, or you're just a stat merchant. Not really. Like, they're scoring goals, but there's also contribution to the team, and that's what Fernandes brings. Like, his goals and assists, his goals and assists isn't just what he brings. He also brings a creative aspect to the team from the players around him that make them better. He exposes space that allows other players to get into as well to attack. Like, it's no surprise that Pogba's benefited from him as well, and those two work vice versa. Before he went on loan, when he did actually play games, like, Martial worked well with Bruno Fernandes. Like, his lack of movement, his lack of movement in certain areas allowed Bruno to get into that space, which allowed Martial to move into areas where he felt comfortable. And it's no surprise that, like, Rashford as well, like, so many players have benefited from Fernandes, but people have like, as they say, like, Fernandes, like, goggles on them all the time, consistently saying, oh, he's not had a penalty, so what's he done this entire game? Oh, he's automatically ghosted, which is factually incorrect.
Reece, I just want to say one thing. I agree with most of what you say. I think one of the things that we've seen this season under your previous manager is, when Bruno, sometimes the bad part of Bruno is there'll be a simple pass on, but he'll always go for the worldy pass, like 60 yards up the field. And it's not that he can't do it, it's just that game management, and it happens to all players. It's not only Bruno, but because we're talking about him, sometimes it could be a simple pass, boom, just pass it, get the flow. But he'll try a worldie, and when it doesn't come off, United get dispossessed. And I think at that particular time of the season, because you were suffering defeats and United was not as free-flowing as it should have been, Bruno was a target, and rightly so. You have to criticize when you can do the simple things, and
I think it's testament to his character, isn't it? I think it's just who he is.
It's true, and it's not a bad thing to do, but when the team's not playing well and when you're not playing well, you should try and keep things simple. That is the only negative thing you could say about Bruno. But it all comes down to, as long as you play him in that central attacking midfield role and he's got options and he can dictate, you've got a fantastic player, in my opinion. And
I agree.
And you know what? In my opinion, he's back. But how do United want to play going forward? That is the big question for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with them comments. Completely with both of Haneef and from Reece. And we'll go with Brush's point here of what do you think about Bruno Fernandes? Do you feel like he's been out of form this season?
Not particularly. I think, the guys touched on a lot of the points there in their summing up of Bruno and what he's done. I think the pressure is intense on him just purely when people look at those numbers. So I think he is a victim of his own success in that manner. And you got to remember, at the start of the season, he started off with a hat trick.
Yes.
I think the arrival of Ronaldo initially was probably a bit of a shock because nobody was expecting that. And obviously to adjust and, with all the disarray that was going on in the team, there was a lot of times when I questioned where we could play the both of them. Because with Bruno, I think Haneef touched on it, I like him in almost a free role. You need to give him that freedom to just do what he does. And, he makes those shadow striker runs. But the thing is, with the pivot behind him, it does mean that he leaves a lot of space. So, the boys behind him have a lot to do. And that's been part of the issue as well.
So if we was going to go for that pivot then, who would be the best people at Manchester United right now for this pivot role if we was going to go for that going forward? So Fernandes does have that free role.
So for me, I always prefer a player who can keep possession. So based on what we have, you would think logic would dictate that it would have to be Donny. But, under successive managers now, Donny's not getting game time. So what is going on there? I think there must be something that we don't see because I just don't understand it. I don't understand it, Maisy.
No, I don't understand it neither, to be honest. And there is actually some transfer update about Donny, which we will touch on a little bit later on too. I'll go quickly from some of the comments here. Hello to Northeast Gaz. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for subscribing to the channel as well. Definitely means a lot. Hello to Antoinette. Thank you for tuning in. Andrew, hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. And he thinks Bruno Fernandes has been out of form this season. Andrew, just let me know in the comments why you also think that, why you think Bruno Fernandes has been out of form this season, and we can get that little bit discussion as to why. Hello to Bath Time. Thank you for tuning in. Hello there as well to Niall. Thank you as well for tuning in. Hello to I Like Coffee. Thank you for tuning in. Northeast Gaz, gutted we're not getting Lingard, but ayo. Yeah, so Lingard, rumours going on as well about Newcastle. We'll also touch on that a little bit later on too. Andrew, he hasn't been terrible, but this is his poorest season he has had for us so far this season. And that is an interesting comment because when you do look at the stats, he's had 21 appearances so far, 7 goals, 5 assists. But however, he's assisted in every single Champions League game he's played. And he's also created the most chances in the Champions League and had the second highest chances created in the Premier League. Would you agree, Brush, this is probably his poorest season so far?
I mean, like I say, because the standards were so high, anything was going to be a drop-off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The trouble is, when things are going bad, he tends to throw temper tantrums, and you can see it visibly. And, his game just goes out the window. So when things are going bad, that's something that needs to get worked on. And like Haneef said as well, sometimes just do the simple things. Because, if you just concentrate on that, I think, we would benefit more as a team. There are certain times when he can simplify his game and he just does the outrageous, which is fine when things are going well. But, it's magnified when the whole team's doing bad and you just think, why?
Yeah, completely agree. And do you agree as with Andrew's comment and Heath that this is the poorest season for Bruno so far?
No. Yeah.
That's.
I mean, like
I don't think it is because you have to look at the overall.
Yeah, but this is the thing, though, isn't it, Haneef? It's because people look at the stats. I mean, if you're looking at stats, then yeah, it's poorer overall. But honestly, I don't think there's been a huge amount of drop off in the way that he plays. I think he's been fairly consistent.
look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. When you get a new manager coming in, right? When Ralph first came in, and he wanted to instill his pressing system. If you can't fit Bruno in, you don't play him, and he couldn't fit Bruno in. But when you play a system that complements Bruno, look what you get out of him. It's not that he's not trying. This guy is creating a lot. His numbers are really, really good. But the problem is when he goes forward, if you look who's behind him, he's got to come back and support those guys. Those two busted sofas that you've got in front of your defense. And
hold on, Henny. Hold on. They've been all right over the last couple of weeks.
No, they have. Listen, Brush, you know what? I'll say it right now. You know Fred, right? Fred gets a lot of stick. He's playing in the wrong position. He needs to be further up the field, and he's a player, in my opinion. A lot of people give Fred a lot of stick, calling him the fake Brazilian. But over the last 5 or 6 games, he's assisted maybe 2 or 3 times. And going forward, you know what? He's sublime to watch, but he's heavily criticized because of where United play him. I personally think United need to not play them two, bring in 2 more players. I think I have the answer for United, but as long as them 2 are there, right, every team in the Premier League has a chance, and all you have to do is press them. But apart from that, right, I rate Fred, and I think Bruno Fernandes, he's kind of being used as a bit of an scapegoat, in my opinion, because his levels are still there. If you look at it, what has it been, 20-something games, and he's got 13 goals and assists or something like that. Those stats are really good. Yeah, and then if you add on top the duels he wins and the chances he creates, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you one thing: Manchester City would take him. Chelsea would definitely take him. So would some of the other top teams around the world. So I think United fans need to be very careful when they question this guy, because if he's having a mare every game, then you drop him. But he's not having a mare, and he's coming back and he's getting man of the match performances. And it'll be interesting to see how it ends, because I think it's going to end positively for Bruno.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's hope so. Fingers crossed. I really do like Bruno Fernandes as a player. I've actually got my Bruno Fernandes top on, actually, just for the stream. Hello to Red Devil Studio. Thank you for tuning in. Just as Niall said, please hit the like and subscribe button. Connor's got a question here. Doesn't Fernandes play on the wing sometimes like Bernardo Silva? No, he doesn't really play on the wing for Manchester United. He more tends to play as an attacking midfielder. I've not seen him once actually in playing for Manchester United. He's played on the wings. He's played as a wide player in that 4-2-2, but if we was playing that 4-2-3-1 role or the 4-3-3, we wouldn't see him in a wing position. If that is, am I correct there, Reece?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think he would suit being on the wings, Reece?
No. I think that's too much of a disciplined role. I think if you really want to play Bruno, you've got to play him in the midfield, not out wide. I think if you put him in that sort of position, you're really inhibiting his creative ability. He's not like a Bernardo Silva or a Phil Foden or a Jack Grealish, who are attacking midfielders but can play it wide. They've got a manager that likes midfielders that can play wide. It would work in a Man City team because he would be instructed to play that way under Klopp. But the way we play, you're asking for trouble. Like, nah, don't put him out wide. You'd be asking for trouble, definitely.
Also, with Grealish and Bernardo as well, they're very, very comfortable on the ball. I don't see that in Bruno in terms of that level of tech to play out there.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well with Jack Grealish, some people actually consider him as a left-wing player as well as an attacking midfielder. Because if you do a look in a lot of games where he has played for Manchester City, he's actually played on the left-hand wing alongside Phil Foden, and then it could be Sterling on the right or Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, who Pep Guardiola does want to change round. So we actually do see a lot more of Jack Grealish on the wing than we do see as an attacking midfielder. Andrew, we haven't had no update about Jesse Lingard going to West Ham. He has been linked to another club.
Don't get me started on Lingard right now. Apparently, like, we've now valued him at 50 million quid, for fuck's sake.
The mind boggles. 6 months left on his contract, and we're valuing him at 50 million.
I know.
Shows how clueless the people running our club are. If there's any,
and the Glazers part of the negotiation team.
No idea, but it's fucking scary.
I actually probably think they probably are, aren't they, at this point, if they're valuing him 50 million. I understand if it was Paul Pogba, but Jesse Lingard, who we was going to sell him for 30 million last season at the last transfer window, and now we valued him at 50, doesn't make sense at all when he's not played.
I think this is, Maisy, this is one of the things that, you know, when you change manager mid-season, and we see this at Chelsea a lot as well, it changes the dynamics of so many players. Now, from what I can remember, I think Solskjaer promised Jesse more of a role this year, saying that, you know what, I can see you've done amazing at West Ham. I want you to come back and compete. And he did get a few cameo roles, probably started a few Champions League or Cup games. But now, if you look at Jesse's value, you have to ask yourself, do you want to get Jesse off the books? It's a simple question. And if the answer is yes, I know as fans, you guys might think, yeah, we need to move him on so we can bring somebody else in. Now, he's on a big contract. I would say he's on a big contract. And if you've got clubs lining up to pay you 10, 15 million, which I think that's what he's worth, 10, 15 million for a guy who's hardly featured, you have to ask yourself the question, right, okay, we're going to sell Jesse. Who do we bring in? Is there somebody you could bring in? Now, you only sell a player if you can bring a player in. You don't do an Arsenal who let go of a player in midfield and don't replace him. And that's what you have to ask yourself. So maybe United are doing something, but are they going to bring somebody else in? Because you're letting go of Donny as well. You want to let Donny go as well. And if the answer is no, you keep Lingard until the end of the season. So you've got to look at that point of view as well. So bids are probably coming in for Lingard. I believe they are, but I don't believe United will sell unless you get what position does he play? Midfield, wing? I don't know now. It's been that long.
He still registers as a number 10, but he can still play right and left hand side. So
okay, I think it might be good news for Ahmad potentially. Yeah. And we've got Elanga coming through now as well, so I don't think it would be a great loss if we were to move him on.
The one that benefits the most is Hannibal when he comes back from AFCON.
Yes, especially in Hannibal actually has been announced by Rangnick that he is looking at putting him as more of a role at Manchester United by the end of the season as well. So we all know that he is looking at blending him into the squad, and he does deserve it as well because he's too good to be in that unders at the moment.
Yeah, he's a quality player.
And I think this is the thing. You've got these quality players in your under 23s, in your youth sides. Now, say for example, Hannibal, who I think is a fantastic talent. I saw him play for his national side. Say he does feature, but somebody else comes in, new system, new philosophy, wants his own personnel. I don't want this, this is the problem that big clubs have when you've got so much talent coming through. Hannibal might not feature, and he's going to be sent out on loan probably. And that is the big problem that you have at all big clubs.
If he does go on loan, though, I'm not exactly against that, though. Because it's good for him. Like he's had very little time as a starter at senior level. A loan move would benefit him. Like in terms of getting that extra experience. That's the only thing. If you look, everyone thinks like loans always go well, but they don't. Some loans are like Chelsea sent Billy Gilmore to Norwich. It didn't work out because of their manager at the time.
Obviously, for Conor Gallagher, for example, it's worked out. He's, he loves the philosophy.
Yeah.
He loves playing in that role. I think it's with Lingard. I think West Ham were gonna play him a certain way, get the best out of him. That's why we saw a really good Lingard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The question is, where does Hannibal go? And you have to ask yourselves, as Man United fans, you know better than me, do you trust your hierarchy? I don't know who your hierarchy is at the moment, like your director of football and Fletcher and co, to send him to the right club. That's all I'm going to say, because he is a fantastic talent.
It's going to be in the summer. Myrtle, Rangnick and Fletcher will understudy, although Fletcher, in my opinion, shouldn't in the first place because he's trying to be more of a coach. It should just be the new CEO, Richard Arnold, giving them like the money to spend. And it should just be Rangnick and Myrtle doing all the football decisions.
Can I just ask a question? What exactly is Fletcher's role at Manchester United at this moment in time? I thought he was a technical director, but I see him on your bench a lot.
He's a technical director, that's correct, but he seems to be more like taking on like a hand-on role with the coaching. I think the data analysis side, I don't know why he's on the coaching side though. I actually don't know, but his official role is technical director. I'd love to know what he's doing on the bench every day, because he shouldn't even fucking be there.
Reece, is he charging the iPads?
Well, he's a data guy, so I wouldn't be surprised.
He might be helping Lee Grant with the fourth official.
He's got earphones in half the time. I'm always wondering what he's listening to.
I've never seen a technical director at any other club be on the bench. I'm just
in trackies and chewing gum. It's crazy.
I know.
Well, he is Scottish, so I can only assume he's either listening to the Proclaimers or he's listening to Biffy Clyro.
My money was on Taylor Swift.
I hope not. That's not a good way to get analysis. Listen to somebody who regularly just gets dumped.
Lanzel is in the chat. Hello to Lanzel. I think we need to rely on Bruno up top too much. Played too many good games, no rotation. To be honest, his numbers are still good, which is correct. His numbers are still very good. And he actually has played in a calendar year, last year, 72 games. That are more than any other midfielder in Europe. And you do look at that and think, wow, that is literally incredible. And
you might well look at his record.
And his whole injury record, he's only ever been injured twice, and one of it was the flu.
Exactly. His entire injury record is 15 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. 15 days injured.
And I think you have to be worried about that as well, because you've got to manage this guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not had a lot of rest, and maybe that was one of the reasons why at the start of the season it wasn't great, because he didn't have the rest and he didn't have a preseason, and now he's being asked to work like a dog under the new manager. So you have to watch. You've got to be careful with Bruno, because he's obviously extremely important for Manchester United.
He's at least playing to his strengths now. I think he's given up on the 4-2-2-2 now.
Yeah, he has, and it looks like he's going to the 4-2-3-1 and that 4-3-3 role. And Anthony's got a point here. Bruno plays better when Ronaldo doesn't play what he has noticed. Would you agree with that comment, Brush?
Initially, I had the same thoughts as well. I have seen in glimpses in recent weeks that they can link up and be effective. But yeah, this was a concern of mine earlier on, that I just think that both of them like to take up similar positions. And, if you want to get the best out of one, then yeah, dropping the other does make sense.
Mm-hmm. One of them, what they actually did work together, it was actually that Brentford goal, the second goal for Mason Greenwood. You've seen, obviously Ronaldo used his chest, and then it went to Bruno, and then Bruno assisted it for Mason Greenwood. And that's the little things what you do notice where they can work together. And I think all this is just stem from Portugal, because you see that Bruno Fernandes doesn't step up as much as he does at Manchester United. Maybe it's because there's so many different talents there at Portugal, because you see the likes of course, Cancelo, you have got Jota there as well, you've got obviously Cristiano Ronaldo. There's a lot of big names there in Portugal, and I think it's going to be extremely hard for him to be that standout man, especially with all them other names there too.
Yeah, and people like João Felix, who's an absolute magician.
Yes, he's another good player as well who's doing well at Atletico Madrid at the moment, isn't it? He's at.
Yeah, we'll be seeing him soon.
Hey, we never know. We never know. But knowing the Glazers, who knows? Who knows? Enjoy your stream there as well, Niall. Thank you for tuning in. Hello to Nippon. He's changed his name there as well. So, big up to Nippon. Bath time. The worst part of Bruno's game is trying to lead a press by running in a straight line at the goalkeeper. What do you think about that comment there, Reece?
He's not wrong. I do honestly. You do not have to elaborate to that at all. You don't even have to expand on that comment because one sentence is actually fact. So I don't even have to elaborate on that. It's completely true.
Exactly. Hello to Jordan. Thank you for tuning in. Hussam is in the chat. He thinks that Bruno Fernandes is out of form. So if you're still in the chat as well there, Hussam, let me know on why you do think Bruno Fernandes remains out of form. Hello as well to Kasim. Thank you for tuning into the chat. Hello to Ravet. Thank you for tuning in. Hello to Delboy as well. Thank you for tuning in there as well. My dad seems to think that Bruno Fernandes is getting burnt out. Do you agree with that there, Haneef?
No. You just got to manage him. I think there was a moment in one of the games where Ralph kind of showed that he's not like Ollie. He will take Ronaldo off. And I think he needs to do the same with Bruno. Bruno will probably want to play every game. That's the type of guy he is. However, you've got to manage these guys, and these guys have to listen to the voice of reason. That voice of reason is Ralph. And as long as, because United have got a very big February and March. The fixture list is crazy. It's absolutely crazy now that I've seen it, especially in March where you've got a lot of big games. February, you'll probably get away with it. But in March time, you've got the likes of, you got your second leg against Atletico, Spurs, Liverpool, Leicester. So you've got a very big March. And it's one of those scenarios where obviously it's a bit of a break now, but I wouldn't start Bruno against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup tie. I'd keep him on the bench, and then I'd bring him. I'd probably play him against Burnley, and see if you got. And that's a big game because you're going away from home. And the game that I watched at Old Trafford, Burnley were playing ball. I was shocked, like, whoa, what's going on here? These guys are playing today, and I was like, this does not look like Sean Dyche's side. They were playing some decent football, and they were pressing your defense. And this is the thing, when you've got two Buster Sofas in front of your defense and they're not that good, and they were walking into your penalty box. David De Gea's, he's got his cat skills back. He's fantastic. He's probably been your best player of the season, I would say, or since the last few months. And that's a big game, and you've just got to manage him. Is he going to get burnt out? Not if he's producing numbers. And he's producing and he's creating chances. But now you've got Pogba back. And I've always felt that United have got that great option. Why not treat Pogba like you're treating Rashford? Right, Bruno, come off after 70 minutes. You're not doing anything. Pogba, it's time to shine. And I think you've got options. As long as he manages them well, which I think he will. I think he's a top-class manager who needs time. No, I shouldn't do, really, if he's managed well.
Ravi has a question here. Can other teams afford to pay the likes of Rashford if he left Man United? And for me, I actually genuinely don't believe that Marcus Rashford probably would leave to another Premier League club if he was going to leave. And if he was looking at all teams in general, probably the likes of Man City and Chelsea will be the most likely options for me, who would be able to afford Rashford's wages. What about you, Brush? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, those are the two clubs that stand out in terms of being able to cover his wages. There are a few in Europe that could, but yeah, like you say, I can't see Rashford going anywhere, to be honest.
No, I say if he does gotta go anywhere, he'll probably go to somewhere like Real Madrid or Bayern Munich if Bayern Munich look to get him. I can't see him wanting to leave from.
If he did go, Maisy, if he did go Maisy, I reckon it will be similar to Lingard. I reckon it will be when he's 28, 29.
Oh, so you think it's going to be a little bit later on in his career?
Yeah. At this moment in time, I just don't see us letting him go. I think they see potential there, and not just that, but it's the overall package, isn't it? From the marketing side of things as well. It's the fact that he is homegrown and he is doing all this amazing stuff off the field. I know it has nothing to do with on-field stuff, but it's part of the modern game, isn't it? And they wouldn't want to let somebody like that go.
Mm-hmm. Final comment here from Bath Time. Do we rate Bruno's combination play around the box? He rarely gives anyone a tap in or breaks the line in between blocks with a short pass. Maybe he should have a deeper role for more direct passes. What do you think on that, Reece?
It does make a lot of sense, actually, to play him in that deeper role. In terms of, he does have the ability to play the ball forward. The problem is, he doesn't have the ability to play the ball forward like Pogba does. Like, Pogba's got the ability to drive it accurately. Then again, the one thing Bruno does have, and this is no dig at any player, but the one thing Bruno does have, though, is consistency. I think if Pogba was to have more of that to his game, Pogba would be more of the better midfielders in the league in terms of that, because he's got so much quality to his game. He's able to direct a ball through, transition wide, over the top, so much better than Fernandes, and it's pinpoint. But what Bruno does, though, is when he plays the ball quickly, he's playing in players that have got the pace to actually do it. The only problem is you would probably say decision-making catches them off. I think if that was to work in that sort of connection, he would benefit. But I think if you were to bring him back, though, I think you would see United's number of goals drop a lot more than what they already have already this season. I think it'd be a big, massive drop. Unless you had another creative player in front of him. I don't know. But I can see the point, but I don't think you should do it. I don't think you should play him deeper. I think that would be a massive mistake.
Mm-hmm. So we'll go around to each one of us. My dad has a question here. Who's your all-time favourite player? I'll go with you first, Haneef. Who your all-time favourite player is and why?
Oh my God, there's so many. For me, so many. I'm not going to say my United player because I was a kid and he's very close to my heart, so I'm not going to say him. But for me, it's the player you should have got back in the day, Ronaldinho. He's magical. Yes. Absolutely magical.
Absolutely brilliant, Ronaldinho. Brilliant. What about you, Brush? Who's your all-time favourite player?
It's probably R9.
Yeah.
The original Ronaldo. I mean, he was unbelievable. He peaked in his early 20s. By the time he was 21, he was already one of the best players in the world. For a striker as well, to have that level of pace, control, and that level of dribbling, it was unseen. Yeah, it was a crazy combination. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
Mm-hmm. And Reece, what about you? Who's your favourite player of all time?
Man United is 100% David Beckham. Always has been. Most likely my favourite all-time player. In terms of non-Premier League, it is most likely the Brazilian Ronaldo or Kaká, Zidane on that aspect. But yeah, 100% Beckham.
Mm-hmm. For me, in terms of Manchester United, I would have to go with Eric Cantona. I think he was absolutely amazing, and he was that final piece on us actually winning the Premier League title. And when we did lose it to Blackburn, it was just because we was missing out on Eric Cantona, and it was just a big, massive loss. And you just knew the kind of player he was. Because our squad was such a young squad, and he was there. He was there as more of that leader kind of role, and it just really balanced out the squad overall. His goals were insane as well. I absolutely think he's a brilliant player. But outside the Premier League, I'm gonna go with Zidane. Zidane, for me, he was one of the greatest ever midfielders. He was that little bit of fiery, that little bit of temper on him, but his passing is absolutely brilliant. He was absolutely insane as that midfielder. I really, really like him.
His control, touch, vision, It was just amazing.
I had the privilege of seeing him live once. saw him play live once, and coincidentally, it was actually in Glasgow. But he is by far, like, on a limb, the best number 10 to ever play football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any
elegance
era. Oh, he's
is
elegant.
the word that describes Zidane.
But the best
whenever I think of him.
the best number 10 of all time is Zinedine Zidane. I'll die on that comment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot, considering that, like, the amount of number 10s actually right in the world of football, like Kaká, Baggio, Platini, like
Del Piero.
Yeah, like there's so many great number 10s. Like even Cantona himself, great number 10. Ronaldinho. But
Bergkamp, Totti. There's been a lot.
Bergkamp was up there, quality player. Cruyff, he doesn't really count. He was just everything. But yeah, Zidane's just no one like him, and I haven't
don't
seen
think
any
we'll
player
see
like
one.
him since. You'll never
No.
see another player like him since. Like there's just something about him.
Mm-hmm.
I
He
think
was
the
just-
way the game is now, it's all about running and pressing. We're not gonna see that level of skill as much as we used to, unless
Yeah.
you're like a Man City or something. You'll always have that one player, but I think we're gonna go down an era where we might not see a lot of top quality ballers.
It's the same with R9, Haneef. If you imagine him in the modern game, right? A lot of coaches would probably try to remove a lot of the dribbling from his game.
Yeah, it's true, and he used to
They
say
would
that
see it as
himself. You know, when you
yeah,
put the weight on, the coaches used to say to him, "Come train." He's just like, "Just give me the ball and let me do my magic." And yeah, it's a shame the game has. There's a lot more running. There's so much data analysis, which I understand, but right, you only covered 5 miles this game, but last game you covered 7 miles. It's just like they don't look at the beauty of the game, and the beauty of the game is the skill level as well. That's why I think I always rated Ozil. You know what he would bring to Madrid and Arsenal. You have to look at that aspect and just think we need to increase that level of football within our game as well, because if not, the other leagues are catching up now. Serie A, they scored more goals in the Premier League so far. They're gonna come back. And they were the biggest league in the 90s, in my opinion. So I just think we have to be a bit careful the way the Premier League is being packaged at the moment. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I want the level of skill to increase. And if you think, my final point before I shut up, we've never attracted the best players in the world in the last 10 years, apart from Ronaldo, who left United. And we only saw like maybe a season and a half of top quality Ronaldo, like at the top level. These guys are all going to Spain. And we have to ask ourselves why. And I think the Premier League's going to miss out on Mbappe, Haaland, and who are potentially going to be the next top players. So we have to address that. Like United never got Ronaldinho. We have to bring him here. If not, eventually the Premier League will suffer.
Yeah,
I will say that with the Ronaldinho one, it worked out all right for us. Led to us signing Cristiano instead.
but come on. You're telling at that time.
Oh no, Haneef, at that time I was in tears. I was gutted.
Ronaldinho every day of the week, because when I saw him for PSG, I used to watch PSG just because of him. I'm like, I'm watching this guy.
Yeah, I remember signing him in Championship Manager, and I was like, "Whoa, this guy's amazing." And I remember we were linked as well. I was getting so excited, and I was so pissed off at the time because that campaign that Juan Laporta ran to get the presidency of Barcelona was on signing David Beckham, but then Beckham turned them down for Madrid, which is what led to them turning their attention to Dino.
It was only one of 3 players at the time they wanted. They only wanted Henry, Ronaldinho, or Beckham. They didn't care about anybody else. It was one of those 3.
Yeah, and at that time, Barcelona weren't what they were, so it wasn't that attractive. Yeah, it wasn't that attractive to Becks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with Bruno Fernandes overall, this season, he's got 21 appearances, 7 goals, 5 assists in the Premier League, 5 appearances, 6 assists in the Champions League. Season before, 37 appearances, 18 goals, 12 assists. Do you reckon Bruno Fernandes could easily hit over the 15 goal mark by the end of the season? Do you think, Reece?
I think he'll hit over the 15 goal mark by the end of March, and I think he'll still hit 20.
You think he'll still hit 20 goals in all competitions?
Yeah.
What about you, Brush? Do you think the same? And do you think Bruno Fernandes will? Now we've seen what we've seen in the past couple of games, the Brentford game, the West Ham game. Do you think that he's going to continue this, and this is just going to be a little bit more of a bounce for Bruno Fernandes till the end of the season?
Yeah, listen, if you play to Bruno Fernandes' strengths, the numbers will be there. The only thing I will say, obviously, he hasn't got the same level with the set pieces and that now. So, out of the 45 goals he scored, I think about 20 odd were penalties. So obviously that there's going to be a drop off if he's not on them, right? So, so the numbers are going to be slightly skewed, but yeah, I've got no worries. In terms of the numbers overall, I'd rather we just get the best out of him. So,
Agreed,
even without the numbers, I don't just look at numbers really. So if it's possible to have a very good game without a goal or an assist, but I think that's lost on this generation.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I slightly disagree with one of Vaughn's comments about Pogba and Varane were the only ready-made world-class players that moved to the Prem. Michael Ballack, even though he flopped to Chelsea, Andrei Shevchenko was still world-class.
Whoa, he did flop at Chelsea. Whoa,
he did flop.
Relax.
He did flop.
I was happy for Michael. Michael turned us down and chose you lot to win the Champions League.
I was happy.
And look what happened.
Claude Makelele, like there were some. If you just beat the Man United, then but in terms of the Premier League as a whole, like Shevchenko was still world class. He just didn't adapt to the Premier League. Michael Ballack was still at the absolute pinnacle at Bayern, and Makelele was still the best defensive midfielder I've ever seen play in the Premier League.
Yeah, thank you, Real Madrid.
What we'll do, before we wrap up, we'll go and discuss the recent transfer news at Manchester United. Been a crazy 48 hours. Anthony Martial to Seville. Donner, he's linked to Crystal Palace now. Patrick Vieira, very, very interested in him and is pushing for a straight loan move, just like Anthony Martial to Seville. And also, Newcastle are interested on a loan deal for Jesse Lingard and then looking at getting him on a free in the summer. So from a neutral point of view, with that, Haneef, what do you think about these recent news for Manchester United?
From a player perspective, I think the players should go. However, do United have enough in reserve to let them go? That is the big question. And are United going to bring somebody else in? Now, if you've got enough in reserve, like you've got that young lad who's burst on the scene, who's keeping Rashford out, rightly so, I believe. He's got a spark. And, if he's lighting up fires, and that goal was pretty nice the other night against Brentford, then he should, So if, I think Jesse you can definitely let go of. I think he's just surplus to requirements. And this is all about having a good director of football. I don't know who your director of football is, but your director of football makes that decision that says, look, we've got enough to cover, so we'll let him leave. Now, if what you said is true, you were offered 30 million at the beginning of the season or or in the summer, whoever's in charge of that director of football or header that director of football role, that's on that individual, because you've missed out on a lot of money. But if you put that to one side, and if someone's offering you 10, 15 million, unless Jesse doesn't want to leave, you should take that money. With Donny, it's about game time. He probably wants to play for his country. I would like to see him at Palace, and I would like to see the Van der Beek and Gallagher connection. I just want to see it. I want to see how good this guy is, because the moments that I've seen him, I think technically he keeps the ball, he calms the play down, he gives you that possession, and he's very nice on the ball, like what you would expect from a player from Ajax. So why he's not got enough game time under another manager is interesting, but let's see what he can do. If he doesn't do well at Palace, then you can say Ollie got it right and Ralph got it right for not playing him. But if he smashes it at Palace, then you challenge these managers. And if Ten Hag was to come in the summer, Donny probably will start a lot of games for Manchester United because he knows what he already can offer this team. So I think it's important to let both players go, but do United have enough in reserve? That is the most important question for me.
What about you, Brush? What do you think about this recent news for Manchester United for all three of them players?
For Donny, I think it's very good. I think it's about time that we got to see him showcase his talents as well. Especially to a Premier League team as well, because there's been so much talk of, oh, can this guy do it in the Premier League? Well, there's the perfect opportunity to find out. And he's just criminally been underused. So it will be great. And like Haneef said as well, that link up with Gallagher would be very intriguing to see. With Lingard, I believe he should have gone in the summer. He was at an age where he came back from an incredible loan spell at West Ham. And at his age as well, he needs first team football. He was never going to get that with us. And he deserves it as well. And he's good enough for a lot of those teams in the lower half of the table to be a first teamer. It was a shame he didn't go. Now it is what it is. I'm hearing... I think the latest thing I heard was a £2.5 million loan fee and then about 12 million on top if Newcastle survive relegation. I mean, I've got no problems with Jesse going. I think, Ilanga's coming through. We've got Ahmad as well. It was really unfortunate Ahmad picked up that injury in the summer. Otherwise, he would have been loaned out to Feyenoord to get some first team games. So, but if Lingard goes, we've got backup. We've got Ahmad there as well, if need be. And so I'm not too fussed. What was the other one?
There was Lingard, Donny, and there was Martial.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, with Tony, I mean, that cameo at the last game, you saw what he can do. I think we spoke about it before, Maisy, and I said it was last chance saloon for him anyway. So either way, I thought this would be his last year. Again, this is actually a very good move. It's a change of scenery for him. I think it was much needed. And it's a chance for him to showcase his talents. And who knows, if he does really well there, the new manager coming in might, see a future for him. If not, then, hopefully he impresses and we get a bigger fee when it comes to selling him and moving him on.
Yeah, 100%. Finally, with you, Reece, what do you think about that news from Manchester United for all three of the players?
It's good news if they actually decide to take any action afterwards. Like if they move them on, like for example, like Martial's away to Sevilla, fine, that's okay. You move out Van de Beek, you move out Lingard on loan or whatever you want to do. It's about what you bring into the squad straight afterwards. Are you going to promote youth? Are you going to make one signing? Whatever you do, the club have to make a strong consideration about what the plan is. If they decide to promote youth and give more youth players an opportunity, then that's fine. But it's a matter of if you're going to move players out on loan, you need to make sure that you have the plan behind it. I still think it's good for them though. Like Martial going to Spain, it might suit him better. Lingard, it should because he wants more regular football and understandably so. Van de Beek, I'll say this now. I honestly do not care what happens to Van de Beek. And the reason I say it is because of his comments. He was asked about the potential move to Newcastle. He was like, their league position for me isn't like, it just didn't warrant him. Like he just completely shunned it off. I was like, well, if you shunned that off, that was a good chance for you to get first team football. You would actually, if you could, contribute to keeping Newcastle up. I know you wouldn't like that anyway, but if he can contribute to that, that's first team football for him. Yeah, he decided, nah, they're in that area, I'm not going to bother. Well, if that's the case, then you don't get enough game time just sulking on the bench. Well, that's your fault then.
But do you think it's due to the way Newcastle play as well, Reece? Like, do you think he saw what Palace can offer and what Vieira's trying to do and thought, do you know what, that's something that I'd be more on board with?
Well, maybe, but frankly, for any player, like if they're willing to give you a chance to come in and play football, then take it up and go for it. Like you never know, he might actually benefit Newcastle. Like he might actually benefit in that system. Yeah, he might benefit Palace as well, but he decided to just look at Newcastle and go, well, you're in the relegation battle. Why should I bother? I think that's just I think it's just a weak mentality. He completely wrote off. He's like that. Yeah, he wrote off saying I'm not interested. So as far as I'm concerned, if he doesn't want to go and get regular game time because the club wants him, then I don't care what happens to him. I honestly don't.
So with myself, in terms of Martial, we all knew that he did want to leave Manchester United. His agent come out and said at the start, but before the window actually, that he wanted to leave Manchester United. Personally, I would have tried to aim on a permanent leave for Martial, especially knowing that we've got Lingard now coming through. We still got Ahmad there as well. So the Martial is just getting lower and lower in the pecking order, and I think no matter what manager we'll get later on, I can't really see Martial being a starting 11 player, especially if Edinson Cavani stays, and of course if Cristiano Ronaldo stays. And we still got Rashford, we still got Sancho, we still got Lingard, we still got quite a lot of players there, and it's going to be a very difficult competition for Martial in that kind of route. In terms of Donny, he needs that game time. We do need to see if Donny is adaptable to the Premier League, because that is a question where I've always thought to myself, is Donny suited to the Premier League? Is he suited to Manchester United, especially with the lack of game time? And knowing that he does go to Crystal Palace, he is going to get quite a lot of game time. Just as Haneef said, I really do want to see a Conor Gallagher, Donny link up. That is something I do really like, because I do really like Conor Gallagher as a player as well. So seeing that link up, I think it'd be really good, and we get to see, is Donny really suited to the league, or is it a lot of players don't always succeed in the league, so they have to be shipped on to another league, if that's him going back to the Dutch league, or if he goes to La Liga, or if he goes to Serie A. It doesn't matter, but if he doesn't suit the league, he would need to get shipped off eventually. But in terms of Jesse Lingard, a loan deal to Newcastle, yes, we still get that 4 million, and 4 million really when we could have got 30 in the summer. You do look at that and you think that is so poor from the board, because we all knew any fan who is a Manchester United fan, even any fans who isn't a Manchester United fan, would know Jesse Lingard isn't going to get the same amount of game time compared to a Bruno Fernandes, a fully fit Paul Pogba. Even looking at it, he's even Scott and Fred. They have a lot more game time as well. So why was this promised? If it was promised, there was several teams who were interested before Newcastle, West Ham in the summer, even Borussia Dortmund. And we all know Borussia Dortmund is absolutely brilliant in giving a lot of experience to players. We've seen that with Sancho. We've seen it with Bellingham as well. We've seen it with a lot of players who get a lot of first-team football with Borussia Dortmund, and that is two opportunities what we did miss out on. And potentially just get 4 million on a loan deal, it's very, very poor management from the board, in my opinion.
Can I just say, on the Lingard deal, Reece kind of said something about Donny not wanting game time at Newcastle United, and Bruce mentioned a fee for Lingard. Now, Manchester United are kind of stopping Lingard leaving as well. And you think about it, if you look at the demands of the amount of money, apparently, if the BBC can be believed, which you do have to question now and again, the deal includes a £12 million payment to United should Newcastle United survive. That is stopping Lingard leaving Manchester United. That's crazy. So, right, okay, if he helps you, we're going to charge you. But you're charging him anyway because they're going to probably cover his wages. So that is a barrier in itself. So Newcastle are looking at it thinking, is he really worth it? Is he going to make that impact?
And this is the problem, Haneef.
It's madness, man. It's you can't run a club like that.
We prize people out of moves, and then they just end up sitting there doing nothing, just picking up their check until their contracts run down and they leave for free.
And Lingard even said he doesn't want to extend his contract neither. I've read it news today. Lingard doesn't want to extend his contract.
We've had it with Marcus Rojo. We've had it with Sergio Romero when Everton were interested. It's just
you got that
and Herrera should never have been allowed to leave this.
You should never have sold Herrera. That was the biggest mistake you guys made. I was shocked when you left.
We didn't sell him. He ran his contract
Oh,
down.
did he live? Oh, fair enough. Yeah, you should. Yeah, that was a silly thing. But I just think, you're showing United are showing a lack of respect, and this is what it comes down to. When you've got very good director of footballs, a director of football in charge of Manchester United or whoever, once you get the right guy or right person in charge, United are going to be flying. But if you're going to keep giving it to your mates and your boys, United are gonna. This is just gonna keep happening, and it happens at every club. And you just think, what are you? Every top club, what are you doing? But when you look at like some of the smaller clubs like Benfica and Sevilla, especially Sevilla are a good club for reviving careers. And Martial's looked at it thinking, you know what? I could revive my career going to play for them guys, and I might even win the Europa League.
They're doing very well in La Liga at the moment as well.
Exactly. And you look at this, and I feel for Lingard. How is he supposed to leave if you're not going to make it easy for him? It's ridiculous.
It's the symbolism of Man United for the past decade. That's why Rangnick needs to get full control in the summer. That's why I'm sick of saying it.
We'll finish up with Nippon's question here because he wanted me to ask this question. Question for you all: Prime Ronaldo or Prime Johan Cruyff? I'll start with you, Reece.
I can't answer that question. Sorry, I can't answer that because both of them are three-time Ballon d'Or winners. Both of them are, at the time, the best players in the world in their positions. And also, you can't compare a second striker to a traditional number 9 that had the best dribbling ability of any striker I've ever seen. So, sorry, Nippon, I can't answer. To be honest, I just have both. I'd have both in my team, to be honest. Not one over the other. Can't do it.
What about you, Brush?
Yeah, similar to what Reece said, and also I didn't have the privilege of seeing, that much of Johan Cruyff, and I think it's different when you live through an era and when you go back and watch highlights and clips and stuff. So yeah, my opinion is going to be skewed on that basis alone.
Watching back though, he was absolutely phenomenal. Same as like other players that generation, like Eusebio and all that. Like before that, Best and stuff. Like there's some great players. Just watching back is not as great as.
Watching Bestie though, Besties, it's amazing just because in that era where they didn't care about injuries and stuff, they used to just assault each other on the pitch, and the way he used to dance around in that era, it's quite incredible.
Just actually, because your dad asked that same question, how much would George Best be worth in the modern game? I'll tell you the answer: invaluable. There'd be no price on George Best because he would never get sold. Because you wouldn't be able to, if you sold a player like that in this generation, whoever authorised that should be taken to a spot and had their head chopped off by an axe. Because that would be the decision of insanity, and that's the only way to cure it.
He was the best player in the world and achieved everything he wanted to achieve by the age of like 22.
Yeah, it was 22. Yeah,
crazy.
418 games, 170 goals, won a Ballon d'Or, won the European Cup, won the league, played for Northern Ireland without even getting scouted by the manager. Harry Gregg recommended him. Boom, there you go.
And for you, Haneef, as well, in terms of Prime Ronaldo or Johan Cruyff, who would you take?
My dad saw Cruyff, and he goes, he was a fantastic player. I never got the honor, but obviously is he the one that's responsible for Barcelona's academy? Is that him?
Yeah, so Johan Cruyff, he was the manager who really helped Barcelona in terms of their success, really, overall.
So,
and
yeah,
it was the one
I
who
would take
Pep Guardiola
both,
looked up to.
I'd take both. I think it's very hard to look. As Reece said, I take both.
Positionally as well.
Yeah, they weren't in the same position. So
no.
Cruyff
was a second. Reckless. He asks ridiculous questions, but if you're going to compare players, you have to do it from the same position.
He's being reckless. That's what he's doing.
Like he asked me once, Prime Mateus or Prime Baggio. You can't that doesn't work. That's a sweeper, like a centre back and a defensive midfielder up against a number 9, not like number 9, number 10. Like you just cannot compare. Like I think he done Totti and Del Piero once. Both of them are amazing, but it's Del Piero all the way.
I'll tell you what, Nippon. If he had asked prime Ronaldo or prime Batistuta, you would have got me. That's probably my 1 and 2. It's a debate that I have with myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Batistuta was unbelievable. Even when he used to score against us in the Champions League, I used to just sit there in awe.
Well, since Prime Maguire doesn't exist and never will exist, it will always be. I would rather have a retired Vidic than a Prime Maguire.
That's very, very true. Gonna wrap up here. People who are in the chat who have not said hello to Santiago, hello to Sean, hello there to Vincent as well, hello to Martin, and hello to Solo. Thank you all for tuning in, and I just want to say thank you for such a great panel tonight. Thank you for coming on, Haneef. Thank you for coming on, Brush and Reece. It's been a brilliant debate today in terms of Bruno Fernandes, and we'll definitely look at doing another debate very, very soon. And Heath, do you want to shout out your socials?
Yeah, I'm on 532_pod. My opinion is for hire, so if I'm free, if you ask, I'm more than likely going to turn up, unlike Lukaku. So yeah, that's me.
He's throwing shade there, and Heath at the end of the stream. Reece, thank you for coming on. Would you like to shout out your socials?
My social is Romelu Luka Kardashian is a fraud. And my Twitter is hiding underneath your screen. It said Devil's Rising, and I'm also actually late for another stream. I'm about to go and rinse Brad on all-time flop 11s on Rich's channel, Rich Sports. So I'm going to be on there, and I'm also back on my Twitch tonight as well. So we'll be carrying on with that. Maisy knows what I'm talking about. So get over there, have some chaos, and if you like Lukaku, then you belong with the Kardashians. That's all I'm saying.
Would you like to tell everyone what you call Lukaku?
Yeah, Romelu Luka Kardashian. Hips don't lie, but his does.
Brush, thank you for coming on. Would you like to shout out your socials?
You can reach me on Twitter at Brushy87. And I'm not going to pile on to Lukaku because he's having a tough time of it, isn't he? The interview and everything, it's just it's all ridiculous.
He's such a melt. Like he's such a melt. Like he isn't a Premier League player. Like he is not a Premier. He should never come back to the Premier League. He should have stayed in Italy.
I actually thought it was a good move. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought, you know what?
I never did. saw it coming. I was like, this ain't going to work. Italy made sense, and the fact is, like, it's funny now. Inter Milan fans said they still won't take him back. They're fine with Edin Dzeko.
Yeah, they don't want to take him back at all now into Milan after what's happened with Lukaku. They're happy how they are, and the fans are happy at all. But we'll end it here now.
It's just awkward that every time you think of Lukaku now, every time you think of the word Inter, all you get is so many memes now. It's just
you do see a lot of memes.
There's so many memes. Like there's one that automatically comes to mind, but obviously, like you shouldn't be saying like some of the stuff that just comes out. Like I'm just like, nah, just cannot do it.
Yeah, we're going to finish it off here. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for such a great panel. I'll be next live tomorrow for another Premier League quiz. Reece probably doesn't like the Premier League quiz after what happened, and he got 14 last time on yesterday's.
Oh, mate, I've tuned into 1 or 2 of your quizzes. You are a quiz master and a half. It's probably the hardest quiz I've ever seen.
Thank you so much, Brush. Yes, so we got a new person there taking up the Premier League quiz. We'll see on how that leaderboard finishes at the end of that one. And I'll be next live on Friday for a Manchester United women preview because it's going to be our first game in the FA Cup. So definitely tune in for both of them. And until then, I'll see you all soon. Goodbye for now.
Take care.
Later.